Alright, in this video we'll be looking at the order of operations. So let's just get right into it and do a problem. So let's say we've got 2 plus 5 times 6. Now your first instinct might be to just work your way from the left and do 2 plus 5 to get 7, then multiply that by 6 to get 42. But if you thought that way, you'd be wrong, and the reason is order of operations. So in this video, I'll go over the order of operations and show the correct way to solve this problem and other ones like it. So what are the order of operations? Well, they're just rules that we use to tell us the order on which to evaluate expressions. It's basically one of those things where the name tells it all. But the actual order we use is this. First, we solve for the things inside parentheses. Next, we solve exponents. Then we do multiplication and division. And lastly, we do addition and subtraction. So now that you know the rules, how do you remember them? Well, I use a mnemonic to remember them. PEMDAS, P for parentheses, E for exponents, color code this, M for multiplication and division, MD for multiplication and division, and AS for addition and subtraction, PEMDAS. Also, some people like to use please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, where the first letter of each of the words in this phrase corresponds to PEMDAS for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Alright, so let's try that problem we had up here to solve it using the order of operations. So 2 plus 5 times 6. I'll rewrite this here. Get my white pen. And so when you solve problems like this, it never hurts to write out PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, if you want to remember it that way. And then you just work through each of the steps one by one. So parentheses, there are none, so we can skip that. Same thing for exponents, but we do have a multiplier here. So we have 5 times 6, which equals 30. And then we do addition and subtraction. We have 2 plus 30 equals 32. So you see that the correct answer there is different from what we found going left to right, 42. So I'll throw a couple more examples your way, see how well you know the order of operations. So let's do 6 divided by 3 times 5 squared. Alright, I'll write PEMDAS up here. And after you work a couple of these problems, you'll just say PEMDAS or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally in your mind. You won't even have to write it out. But for now, we'll just write it out. So no parentheses yet again, but we do have exponent right here, 5 squared, which is 25, right? Because when you square a number, it's just that number times itself. So 5 times 5, which equals 25. I'll rewrite this. Then we move on to multiplication division. Even though the M for multiplication comes before the D for division in PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, they have the same priority, so we work them from left to right. So in this example, since 6 divided by 3 is to the left of 3 times 25, we do 6 divided by 3 first, which equals 2. And then we're left with 2 times 25, which equals 50. So that's all we can do for that problem. Now I'll just throw you guys into battle, give you the toughest one I can think of to really test how well you know the order of operations. So let's try 6 minus open parentheses 3 plus 6 squared divided by 2 close parentheses plus 5 times 4 minus 5 PEMDAS. Alright, so this time we actually do have a parentheses here, so we have to solve that first. And the thing with parentheses is kind of like their own problem, because you have to solve what's in parentheses before you can move on to anything else, and it does have its own order of operations, so that you have to start from the top and move on down just like everything else. So if there were another parentheses in here, we'd have to do that first before we could move on to the outside parentheses, but fortunately there's not. So we move on to exponents, and there is an exponent here. 6 squared equals 36. And then we move on to multiplication and division. 36 divided by 2 equals 18. Then we move on to addition and subtraction to finish this problem off, or at least inside the parentheses, to get 21. So inside the parentheses is just equal to 21. So let's take a second here and rewrite this problem. 6 minus 21 plus 5 times 4 minus 5. Now we can go back to this order of operations here, and we have no more parentheses, no more exponents. So then we go to multiplication division, and we have one multiplication right here. 5 times 4 equals 20. And now you see all we've got left is addition and subtraction. And addition and subtraction work the same way as multiplication and division, where you just work them from left to right. So we'll start with the left here and go 6 minus 21 equals negative 15. And then again on the left, negative 15 plus 20 equals positive 5. And finally, 5 minus 5 equals 0. So that's our answer there. Our simplification of this whole big mess up here is just equal to 0, which is kind of cool. But anyways, if you can solve this problem and problems like these, you should be fine. There shouldn't be anything more difficult than this in algebra in terms of order of operations. That's all I have for this video. See you guys next time.